On a typical day, the Department of Defense advertises over 14,000 civil service openings at military bases and defense agencies located all across the United States and worldwide. The Department of Defense hires people from all walks of life. This includes both blue-collar and white-collar positions, as well as student and entry-level hires. Now, these are high-paying, secure jobs with great benefits. Unfortunately, many well-qualified job seekers never bother to apply for a civil service position because either they don't understand how to go about obtaining one of these positions, or because they don't think they have a realistic chance of being selected. So let's take a look at what the truth actually is. First, we'll take a look at the civil service application process. Your first step is to go to the USAJobs website. This is the government website used to announce civil service position openings. It is also the website you can use to submit an application package. In order to submit an application, you'll need to open a personal account on the USAJobs website. There is no cost for doing this. Next, you will need to create a USAJobs profile for yourself. Your profile gives the federal hiring agencies, such as the Department of Defense, an overview of who you are as a job candidate. You can use the USAJobs website to search for civil service job openings that match your qualifications and your aspirations. When you find a position that interests you, carefully review the details of the job opening to ensure you meet all the requirements and conditions of employment that are listed. In order to apply for a position, you'll need to create and upload a federal resume. Be sure to create a federal resume that is customized to closely match the requirements listed for the position you seek. Please note that a federal resume is formatted differently from resumes used in private industry. A federal resume contains detailed information that is not normally included in a corporate-style resume. If you need help creating a federal resume, go to defensestudies.net to download our Civil Service Guidebook. This guidebook will show you, step by step, how to create a high-scoring federal resume. Over the years, thousands of people have downloaded our guidebooks and have found them to be a great help. If you are new to the federal job application process, I strongly encourage you to download a copy for your own use. Now back to the application process. You will need to upload your federal resume and then complete the remainder of the application process on the USAJobs website. By the way, you are not limited to just one application. You can customize your resume and submit applications for other civil service positions. But please note, many civil service positions will require you to complete additional steps. This includes steps such as submitting specific documents such as academic transcripts, professional certifications, if applicable, proof of your prior military service, and any letters of recommendation. You'll need to truthfully answer job eligibility questions. And you'll need to carefully answer occupational job knowledge questionnaires. After the job announcement's closeout date is reached, the responsible military base or defense agency's civilian personnel office receives and reviews your application. The hiring agency will initially conduct a quick review of your application to make sure you're eligible and meet the basic job qualifications. Your application will be scored based on how well you meet the requirements for the position in question. The highest qualified applicants are referred to the federal hiring official for further consideration. You can check on the status of your application by logging on to your USAJobs account. Now, for each position you submit an application, you will see your current status and any scores that may have been assigned to your application. If the hiring official chooses to do so, he or she has the option to interview the highest qualified candidates before making a final decision. The interviews may be conducted in person, via phone, or in special cases, via video teleconferencing. After the candidate evaluation process is completed, the hiring official selects the best qualified candidate. The successful candidate will then be contacted. For those not selected, their status on the USAJobs website will state not selected. The hiring agency will then extend a tentative job offer to the selected candidate. Once this offer is accepted, the federal agency will, if required, start the background investigation process. Normally, the job offer is final when the federal agency successfully completes the background investigation. Even if you have never before applied for a federal civil service position and are concerned about your chances for success, there is much you can do to significantly increase your odds for selection. Before you begin investing time in the application process, first, carefully read each job announcement selection criteria. Understand what the job requirements are, and make sure you meet all the eligibility requirements to include job qualifications, education, specialized requirements, and conditions of employment. Unless you are already a member of the Federal Civil Service, make sure the position you are applying for is accepting applications from the public. You can determine this by looking in the upper right-hand corner of the job announcement. Make sure that the job is annotated as open to the public. Also check for U.S. citizenship requirements listed underneath this annotation. Another very important way you can increase your odds of being selected is to learn how to correctly prepare and format a federal resume. Please take note, a federal resume is different from a corporate-style resume. If you upload and submit a traditional corporate-style resume, your application may not receive a high score and you could be eliminated from further consideration. In your federal resume, be sure to include the appropriate keywords. In order to do this correctly, you will need to know how to identify which keywords the government evaluators are looking for. Double check to make sure you are submitting all the specific documents listed in the required documents section. If you fail to do this, your application may receive an ineligible rating and be rejected from consideration. You'd be surprised at how many applications are rejected because of this simple oversight. Another mistake job candidates often make is to rush through any eligibility questions and occupational questionnaires associated with the application. Your answers to these questions are a critical part of your application and will have a big effect on your score. And finally, it is very important that you submit your application before the closeout deadline. Federal civilian personnel offices are real sticklers about this. If you fail to meet the deadline, your application will most likely not be considered. As I mentioned earlier in this video, if your application is identified as one of the best qualified candidates, you may be invited to participate in a formal job interview. Be aware that a federal civil service job interview has some unique features to it. If you have not participated in a civil service interview before, you may be at a disadvantage competing against more experienced candidates. But the good news is that you can learn how to properly prepare for this interview and, with a high degree of accuracy, anticipate many of the questions you'll be asked. So if you are new to the Federal Civil Service application process and have no experience for federal job interviews, the Defense Studies Institute has published the guidebook, How to Get a Civil Service Job at a Military Base. This guidebook takes you through the entire application process. It explains what to do and what to avoid. The guidebook shows you how to create a correctly formatted federal resume. It explains how you can identify which keywords you need to include in your resume and in your responses to job knowledge questionnaires. This guidebook also shows you how to correctly prepare for a federal civil service interview. You will learn how these interviews are conducted and how to anticipate many of the specific questions you are likely to be asked. If you are truly interested in being selected for a civil service job at a military base or with a Department of Defense agency, I recommend getting a copy of this guidebook. You can quickly download a copy at our website, defensestudies.net. It's an invaluable tool for the federal job candidate.